Alright, what is going on? I haven't uploaded a video in a while because no one watches and I have a shitty camera. So, but I'm gonna upload this anyways because I want to get it off my mind and I felt I needed to upload. So, this is gonna be a sequel to my Everything Wrong with Star Wars Battlefront. Obviously, this is the second game done by EA, where the first video was on the first one. And I'm just gonna pick out where they went just wrong, not as of they couldn't do it or it was difficult or not the best plan or whatever. Obviously there's issues, but this was just they were lazy and or didn't give a shit. And I don't even know where to start because there's so much wrong with this game. Honestly, the first EA Star Wars video I almost regret making with how bad this game is, because the first game is bad, but it's not this bad. So I guess let's start with heroes. There's lots to say about the heroes, so let's just start there. In the first game, the problem was the only way to get them was to find one of like 50 tokens on the map, which were random and changed every few seconds and only spawned a couple. And you had to find them, and you had to and people would argue you would need to know map knowledge, but knowing how many ever fucking tokens, around like 50 on every single map, and they're constantly changing, is kind of tedious and unrealistic. And there's no skill to getting them. It was just either you got fucking lucky or you knew where all the tokens were and you just rushed to every location or whatever. And it was bullshit because you never got to play the hero unless you got lucky. So they realized they fucked up. And they put in, well, when the game first came out, it was a fucking disaster and you had to pay for them. But now you have to get battle points from in-game, which is almost fine, except for it plays both ways. I think there's a limit on 2 to 4 heroes on a team at once. And you have the assholes who always get there before you. You can get to it's either, I think, 4,500 points for in-era heroes. Like if you're playing Clone Wars, Obi-Wan is an in-era hero because he's part of that era. And then 6,000 for out-of-era heroes, like if you're trying to play Darth Vader on a Clone Wars. So it's not a lot of points, so everyone gets there really fast, and it's just hard to, you have to like either, be like Battlefield 3 where you're waiting for the jets to respawn on the map, and there's only 2 of them and the whole team wants to be in the jet, so everyone just sits in the menu waiting for a jet. So it's kind of like everyone sits in the menu waiting for a hero as soon as they get their points, and it's kind of BS. And then once someone gets in a hero, they don't die. And that's one of the issues I want to bring up, is the heroes can heal. And one of my main issues in this game is that heroes are completely overpowered, especially in Galactic Assault. So why the fuck would you have someone, especially the lightsaber heroes, with abilities to heal? Not like they put down a heal pack or like some Overwatch shit where you can heal each other. Actually, Battlefront 1 did that. I think like Palpatine and Princess Leia could heal people. But no, if you fucking hide and you don't take damage for like 10 seconds, the fucker heals. So you can just have Darth Vader, Count Dooku go in and slaughter some bitches and just annihilate the enemy team. And then as soon as he's down to low health and decides he's going to die, he just goes and hides and gets his health back. And then he just stays there all game and gets top of the leaderboard. So it's not fair to anyone. His team doesn't ever get to pick a hero because he fucking hogged it. He snatched it and now hogs it the entire game. And he's not playing very well for his team because he's focused more on keeping his hero, so he's not as aggressive or as helping the team as he should be because he's constantly running back and hiding or not taking a risk because he's scared to lose his character. And it's unfair to the enemy team because they have to deal with this hero that's constantly fucking ass-raping them all the time. And another reason I hate heroes, on the opposite, the flip side, is when you join those games, either you join in progress or you get to a point to where you have some people that are picking people like Luke Skywalker, Count Dooku, Darth Maul, like really agile, fast, or Yoda especially. Yoda and Luke are the worst, and they are just in your shit. They are in your spawn every time you spawn, and you're just infantry, and you're getting slayed by an agile, lightsaber, force-wielding piece of shit every time you spawn. And you spend 5 minutes just trying to play the game, but you can't do anything because you just get raped. Even if you try and focus on the other infantry, the lightsaber heroes come behind you and just fucking spam right trigger. It takes no skill to take a lightsaber hero. Like, the heroes are fucking overpowered in general because of their health, armor, and damage. But the lightsaber heroes especially, because they just have to spam right trigger. Like, you have to have the entire team group up on them and like surround them so they can't get away, but they can just slaughter you. Just seriously, it's fucking bullshit. And that brings me to my point that heroes should only be in their game modes. Like, they don't spawn in the 16 player game modes like operations and team deathmatch, but they will spawn. You can play them in Galactic Conquest, which is the only fun game mode, and I'll get to that later. And the hero game modes, which should be in multiplayer, heroes versus villains. This is the only place you should be able to play heroes. This is the only place you should be able to do it. Like, I get it, heroes are a huge part of Star Wars. People want to play as Darth Vader or Kylo Ren. I fucking get it. And I want to too, but I don't, like, when I play infantry, like, Star Wars Battlefront has become such a fun, like, honestly, I have had 90% of my games be, this honestly could be a fun game and enjoyable if I wasn't getting hacked down by a lightsaber every 5 deaths. And just knowing that I'm walking into a situation that I basically just don't have a chance. Like, there are situations where you just have to accept death and someone's getting free kills. And you could argue that they earn those battle points, but everyone on the team earned those battle points. Those kills don't take any skill to get, and they're just hacking you down, and they're just spamming the right fucking trigger. There's nothing else to a lightsaber hero other than right trigger. Yeah, you got your abilities, but it's 100% right trigger. So they should just make a ton of... They've already got 3 game modes. One's a space one, but they should put more effort into their hero game modes and make it to where there's a diverse, number of game modes and things that you can do with your heroes. And I do have to give them props. They did an improvement from the first one. The first one's heroes versus villains. You had heroes, and then you had infantry, and 3 people were heroes and 3 people were infantry, and you rotated, and it was a 66, and it was the most god-awful, and this is a point I made, it was the most god-awful decision ever, because the infantry literally did nothing. So it was a 66 game mode that essentially should have been 3v3, because the 3 infantry guys just got slaughtered. They didn't really do anything. There was no point to them, and every other round you didn't get to play a hero, so what's the point of playing heroes versus villains? They took that shit out, so now it's just heroes. So that's... props to them. They did make one good decision. And the hero game, they're fine. You know what? The only really thing is with the lightsabers, people pick lightsabers and team up on you and slash you, whatever, right? Like, there's not much you can do about that. But it's heroes versus heroes. It's pretty straightforward. I don't play it because I don't really like the spamming of the lightsabers, but whatever. But that's where the hero should be. Not when I'm trying to play Galactic Assault. I don't want to get raped by a lightsaber. Because it could have been a fun game mode. And I don't want to be forced to play Team Deathmatch or Operations. And now I'm going to move into my other points of the game modes. This is a just abysmal attempt with how they release this game and are just pathetically trying to pick up the pieces of their failure. And they are just slowly, like, getting to where the game's playable. Like... They released last year a roadmap in spring of 2018, and then they didn't even follow it. Like, Obi-Wan and Grievous were supposed to come out in fall, and Dooku and Anakin were supposed to come out by December. And it's February of 2019, and we still don't have Anakin, and we just got Dooku in January. And it's late as shit. So I'll get more on their incompetence later, but with the game modes, they only have a few game modes, and a lot have been added recently. So when you go into, oh, I just searched for that. When you go into multiplayer, you have heroes versus villains. They have 3 game modes. One's a space one. Then you have Assault. That includes the big game mode, Galactic Assault, and then Starfighter Assault, and then Strike. Strike is like team deathmatch, just with like objectives, 16 players and really short rounds. So it's very similar to Extraction, but Extraction is a specific game mode, and that was added with the Han Solo update, and it was also a game mode in the first one. And then Ewok Hunt is their special like throwback to the old original 2004 and 5 Hunt game modes. And then Blast is Team Deathmatch. And these are all 8v8 game modes, so you can basically play Space, Heroes, or a small 8v8 game mode, or Galactic Assault. So those are really the only options. There's 4 game modes for the 8v8s, but they're all very similar. One is Team Deathmatch, one is Objectives, and the other one is an Ewok Hunt special. And mind you, Extraction and Ewok Hunt were added late, so it was originally only Blast and Operations or whatever the fuck. And the reason I don't like these small game modes is because the maps are very limited and very boring. They get stale extremely fast. You play on one tiny part of a map, and they don't even do all the maps, just one tiny part of the map you play on. It's a very short game mode. The games will last 8 to 10 minutes at best, and you're playing on these same like 7 maps, and you don't really get to do anything. The only reason I play them is when I'm getting really pissed off about getting killed by lightsaber heroes, because you can't play heroes in the smaller game modes. So and this is a problem Battlefield 4 and 5, or not 5, Battlefield 4 and 1 had. Maybe it was just 4 and Hardline, I'm not sure. I know 4 did for sure, where Team Deathmatch would only last 10 minutes. And maybe that's cool for some people, but the only time I want to play a game that short in a shooter is Call of Duty. Otherwise, I want my games to last. I want to play for at least 20 minutes, preferably 30 to 40 a game. So I don't like getting into a game and starting to have fun, and it's over, then going to the loading screen that shows the ending, and then loading in the next map, and then doing it. I don't like that. I want to stay in a game and just play it. And I also don't like the fucking maps. The maps are boring. Like, it's just boring. There's nothing really going on. Compared to the Galactic Assault are these massive fucking maps. And there's so many objectives going on. There's moving parts. There's, like, you know, the MTT tanks that you have to protect. And then they move throughout the entire ginormous, beautiful map. And then it transfers into another objective where you have to defend these tanks, these juggernauts that are anti-air tanks or whatever, right? And every map has a different story, and it's beautiful, and there's so much stuff going on, and it's like a humongous map. And it's a good game mode other than the heroes. So they need to take the heroes out of Galactic Conquest. They need to make more game modes, because honestly, this is pathetic. If you look at most first-person shooters, they have over 10 game modes. Call of Duty has 15 to 20. Battlefield has 15-ish around that area. Like, you know, even Fortnite has a shit ton of game modes. We need a diversity of things to do. Overwatch has different game modes. They don't let you play them. They only let you play 5 a week, but this is ridiculous. Like, you get bored easy. So that's the game modes. That's the heroes. Let's talk about the fucking weapons. This is another problem. This game boasted about having more content than the original EA Battlefront, except for just barely. Like, they have, like, a couple more heroes. I think it's like they have 2 to 4 new heroes. I would have to, actually, it's probably 4 to 6. I'd have to check the numbers again, but it's not a lot. Like, it's a Star Wars game, and this is a pathetic roster. Like, I know they're probably trying to do a lot, but I think that EA and DICE have the developing team and the pockets to put in way more. They just don't want to. They don't want to put the effort in. Because this right here, we've got Boba Fett, Bosk, Chewbacca, Darth Vader, Palpatine, Solo, the chick from the campaign, Kylo Ren, Lando, Leia, Luke, Darth Maul, Rey, Yoda, Finn, Phasma, which the last 2 I just said are terrible heroes no one picks, and then Grievous, Obi-Wan, and Dooku, and the last 3 are all DLC. That may sound like a lot, but if you're a Star Wars fan, you know that is an abysmal cast of characters if you're pulling from Clone Wars era, Galactic Civil War, and the new trilogy. or whatever the fuck they call that bullshit from Disney. That's an abysmal list. It really is. And with the content issues, let's talk about the fucking guns, because this game actually has less guns than the original Star Wars Battlefront, and there weren't classes in the other one, so this is how they did it. Every class has a default weapon, which is changes by your faction. So, and then they have these 3 ones. So you've got the DC-15A, which is the one that you start with. That's what you have, and that will change depending on if you're in the Clone Army or the Galactic Empire or whatever. These 3 never change. These are the 3 for all Assault. Assault's one of the classes. These 3 never change, and you unlock them by getting 50, 200, and 400 kills. So that's 4 guns per class. Really 3, because you never get to, like, if you like that gun, you can only play it on the clones. This DC-15, if you like this gun, you will never get to use it when you're playing on anyone else. And there's 6 factions. There's the clones, the droids, the stormtroopers, the rebels, and then the New Order and the Resistance. And I'm using simplified terms. So that's 6 factions. You will only be able to use this gun 1 out of 6 times. You never get to unlock it. You will have to use one of these 3 or the default bullshit gun they give you. And these guns that you unlock half the time aren't even that good. Like, this one's good, and that's pretty much it. That one's alright. I don't like that one at all. But if you grow an attachment to a gun that's specific to the faction, like I'll show you, we'll switch this, because it's on the Galactic Republic, right? And then we'll switch the First Order. Boom. It changes over to the F-11D. So, you can't use... There's nothing there. You can't scroll down. There's nothing. It's gone. You can't use the clone gun unless you're on the clone team. So, that's 3 guns plus a default, so 4 for each class. You could go and add up each gun for the specific factions, like, this gun, the A280 for the Rebels, and then add it. And I did that as a benefit to them, to add how many guns they had, and that's how they came up to, like, just 2 less. But I'm not going to do that anymore. In reality, they don't have a lot of guns in this game, and there's no challenges. Like, at least the first game, you had hut challenges for, like, the DLC, and you could get, like, exotic weapons. This is just straightforward, unlock these 3 guns. And what pisses me off is I do have a personal attachment to a default gun that I got in Battlefront 1. In Battlefront 1, you had... And now I don't necessarily hate their classes. I think that's a good idea. I'll give them props for that, too. That's 2 things, this video. 2 things they've done right. I think the classes are cool. And I'm okay with them separating the weapons by the classes. If you don't want to let me use a big machine gun on the scout, what the fuck ever. I don't give a shit. But I want to be able to use what I want, when I want. So the default for the clones is this DC-15. It's alright. But I really, really, really like, on the Galactic Empire, they have the DLT-19. That was my gun in Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I really loved it. Except for, it's the default weapon for the Stormtroopers, so I can't unlock that. I can only ever use that 1 out of 6 times. And that makes me really angry, because I love that gun. And honestly, you don't even have to give it to me right away. They should do something like once you hit max level or something, you can get all those guns. Like in Battlefield 3, the Americans had the M4, the Russians had the AK, but once you hit like the 45 or whatever the level was for the Colonel, the max, you unlocked an American-acquired AK and a Russian-acquired M4, so you could use both whenever you wanted. So I think they need to do that, because they have a lot of guns, and they're locking off 5 of them to you at all times, right? Because if you're the clones, you can use the clones default, but you can't use the droids default, you can't use the Resistance default, you can't use the Rebels default, you can't use the New Order's default, you can only use your default. So if I want to use a DLT-15, I better pray that I'm playing the Stormtroopers, and you know that I'm not going to, because another thing I have wrong with this game is just, maybe I just have shit luck, but I always find myself playing the new Disney shit, the New Order and the Resistance, and I don't like it because I don't like the New Order. Their armor looks like trash. The Resistance is just, well, I mean, the New Order and the Resistance are just Rebel and Stormtrooper wannabes. and the maps are bad. Like Crate or Create or however you pronounce it, that's a horrible fucking map, and everyone in this game community agrees with me. And Dakota or whatever, that's a terrible map too. All the maps from the New Order are trash. I don't want to play that, which is another thing in the game modes. You should be able to pick which maps or which eras they tie together. It would be either, if you pick the map, you're picking the era, because that's another thing. In the original non-EA Star Wars Battlefronts, you got to pick the map you wanted to play and then pick which era. The maps are era-specific. If you go to Tatooine, you can't play clones there. You can't play the New Order there. You can only play the Galactic Civil War. So that's bullshit. You should be able to play whatever era on whatever map you want. I understand on Galactic Conquest that would make a problem, because there's specific things, like on the clones there's MTTs and only the droid army had MTTs, blah 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 blah. But on other game modes, that doesn't really work. So they could figure it the fuck out. I guarantee you they could. But I want to be able to pick what I want to play. Like, if I never want to play the New Order and the Resistance, I should have that choice. I should have the choice to never play those maps and those factions, because I don't want to play them. I just don't. But I don't have that fucking option. Just like I can't pick I can't play with the guns that I want to play with. And then moving on to just a minor lack of effort here. This isn't tie into anything. It's just a out there detail. So you have these special people, because, right, you have the 4 defaults, the heroes, and then all the specials. The 2 ones there are your infantry specials, and the rest are vehicles. But the Enforcer and Aerial are your infantry specials. Your Enforcer is a character you have to use battle points like you would a hero, but they're far less expensive than a hero. And the Enforcer is going to be like a very hard-hitting like tank. He does a lot of damage. He's an Enforcer. And then the Aerial has a jetpack, right? Well, they have the diversity. Like the Death Trooper is the Empire's Enforcer. And then you have the Flame Trooper. That's the Resistance Enforcer. And then you have the Battle Droid, which is the Droid's Enforcer. So they were able to find this diversitized soldier for every faction. Except only on the bad guys. The good guys all share the Wookiee Warrior. The clones, the Rebels, and the Resistance all share the Wookiee Warrior with the same appearance and same abilities. Why? Why? Yes, it makes sense. I mean, you can back it up with canon. Yeah, all those factions got help from the Wookiees, but definitely could have done something. I know for a goddamn fact that the clones had elite soldiers. You could have put an ARC trooper or a clone commando in there real quick, and that would have been badass, and the fans would have eaten that up. The Rebel and Resistance, I'm sure they had cool shit too that I'm not remembering right now. But you could have done something, especially for the goddamn clones. So it's pathetic that you didn't. It was really fucking pathetic. And every detail that I'm listing here, every argument that I'm stating, is just a lack of detail or effort. This isn't because they can't. This isn't because they can't because of money or effort or technology or budget. This is because they cannot, or they won't. They refuse to. They're lazy. They just want your money. They don't actually care about making a great, immersive, diverse Star Wars experience for Star Wars fans. That's not what EA and DICE wants. They just want your fucking money. And then when they realized that they weren't going to do that, they tanked, the game failed, and now they've desperately been trying to come back, but now they're still half-assing their efforts and not actually putting effort into the fucking game. And that's why we have this fucking joke, which has potential, but not really, because EA will never fulfill that potential ever. And EA is failing right now, and everyone's requesting that Disney, even though I hate Disney, I would like for them to rip the rights away from EA, because the only thing they have is a fat wallet. So they have nice graphics, but they just can't push out. And DICE used to be a good company, but they've just been working with EA too long, and they got greedy. I don't fucking know what happened to DICE, but after Battlefield 3, it started going downhill. Battlefield 4 was still tolerable, but like 4 or 5 and 1 were just terrible games. And to just back up this lack of effort, if you play the Bespin map on here, it's literally just it's the same one from the first EA Battlefront. Like, it's same graphics, same layout, same time of day. It's literally just poured it into it. It really is. It's fucking abysmal. And my last point that I'm going to touch on in this video is one that's not as game breaking, but it's a personal one for me that makes it hard for me to play the game, because it's a part of a game that I look for in games that most people don't, but I'm still going to put it in here. It's the character customization. And recently they've added some, but not much. And the first one, you could customize outfits. The first one, there was no clones and there was no New Order shit. It was only the Empire and whatever. So they did add 2 factions or eras. But you could add outfits for your rebels or your officers, and you could get stormtrooper like markings and camos and shit. And it was pretty cool. You could make your you could make your guy like a Death Trooper, not like a Death Trooper, a Death Star Trooper, or a Imperial officer, or a shore trooper, which was really fucking cool. I really liked the DLC for Rogue One because I loved that movie. I loved everything from that DLC, and I wish it made it into this game, but it didn't. Anyways, you could basically customize your character's outfit and shit like that, and there's all types of cool stuff from the Star Wars universe you could do. This one, not so much. Right now, the clones have the best, and all of this customization came in around early 2018, I want to say. It's all, either way, it's new. So here's what happens. So you go in, you can only customize these. You can't even customize your droids, or that's 3 out of 6 factions. So the Resistance, all you can choose is change the way your guy looks, and there's 2 species for each classes, which are some ugly ass species that no one really cares about. No one really cares about these. Like, where are the species, and why are they defined by class? This alien species can only work for the Rebels and the Resistance, and you can only get certain species on certain classes. Like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, look, you just saw the Celestin and the Nico on the Assault. On the support, you can get the Zabrak, or the Wee Quay, or the Quarren. Like, why is that strict to the class you're playing? Like, what if someone wants to play as a Zabrak all the time? That's a very popular Star Wars race. This is the same race Darth Maul was. Everyone likes those guys. I personally love the Twi'lek, which I know that a ton of people like, but you can only play a Twi'lek on the fucking sniper class. What if I want to play a Twi'lek on every class? And you can't use any bullshit because we know Twi'lek served every position in the Rebel Army. And again, you can only customize your clones, your Resistance, and your Rebels. You can't customize the Stormtroopers, the New Order, or the droids. No. You can customize your Empire and New Order, but only the officers. And you can only change like the actual person. You can't change their outfit. You can only change like if it's a white guy or a black guy or a girl or whatever. Actually, no. You can't change the gender. The new Resistance officers are all females, and the Empire officers are all male. So, these are just choices that don't even make sense. So, and then the snipers, all females, of course. And the Miri Allen doesn't have any hair, which is weird, because Miri Allens do have hairs, or however you say that species name. I've never heard it pronounced, I've only read it. And then you can only customize the clones, assault, support, and sniper. You can't customize the officer. And this was the very beginning to where they started to seem like they were going to do something cool. They added in the paint for the specific division. You know, like this is Obi-Wan's, this is, I forget which Jedi, but Commander Wolf was the clone in charge. I forget the Jedi. Actually, it should say Plo Koon. Okay, so like you can get the specific, that does rotate. The specific, paint jobs, which is cool, but like it seems like they stopped after this. They didn't do much after that. They didn't add all of the ones. Like they may not have had to have added all of them, but just the major ones. They didn't even get Anakin's. I haven't been to the Star Wars in a while, so forgive me. It was like the 101st. Yeah, they didn't even get the 101st. That's the most popular clone battalion in all of Star Wars. Like, that's the most popular. So they didn't even get that. They didn't get them all. They didn't get Mace Windu's, which are the cool purple guys. And you can't You can't customize anything. You can't customize outfits like you could. You can barely do anything. The only outfits you can customize are on the clones, and you can't even do the officers. And the officers different. You can customize 4 factions, but like I said, you only change the person, not the outfit. And look, these are all females. And if you go to the Empire, they're all male. So it's just abysmal that they just restrict a ton of stuff, because they could put those male and female faces that were on all of the officers, they could make that available for the clones, the Empire. Well, not the clones, because clones, whatever. So don't make it for the clones. That makes sense. But they could put it for the Resistance, the Rebellion, and the First Order, and the Empire. That would have been easy. You should be able to customize the paint on your droids, because there were a shit ton of different droids. You should be able to put all the paint jobs on your clones and be all the battalions that you want. You should be able to play any alien species that's on the Rebels and Resistance. You should be able to play any of those on any class. It shouldn't matter if you're playing Sniper or Assault or Support. If you want to play a Twi'lek or a Zabrak or a Weequay, you should be able to fucking play them on whatever class you're playing. I'm not asking you to play as a Twi'lek Rebel Sniper on the fucking droids or play a Twi'lek Stormtrooper, because that didn't happen. I'm just asking for where it applies to let you have the freedom to do so, instead of unnecessarily restricting you to playing shit for no fucking reason. And again, we need more customization. We need more heroes. We need more game modes, but it's never going to happen. That is my opinion and arguments for this game. I think they're pretty valid and realistic. Again, sorry for the long video. I just wanted to get this out here. And it's a sequel to the original Everything Wrong with Star Wars Battlefront video. And other than that, I do have a big video coming up in the middle of next month. Other than that, that's my video. Have a good day.